Awakening is hiding in the last place you'll look. So what we're going to talk about in this video is situations, moments that we all encounter. We can all relate to these. They happen to all of us on a probably daily basis, at least for a few minutes at a time. Sometimes it seems like most of the day. The experiences I'm talking about are frustration, impatience, and discontent. So if at any moment you feel like what's happening right now is not to your liking, it's wasting your time, or you'd rather be somewhere else. Common moments like this are being in traffic, standing in line, waiting for something, or maybe most prominently when things don't go the way you had expected them to. So it's so common for us to get upset in these moments that it seems like we should almost, or it's the right thing to do. We've seen it so much. We get reinforcement from all directions that this is the appropriate course of action. Like, you have to get upset when things don't go your way, or when you're waiting in line and then something suddenly happens that causes you to have to wait longer in line. These moments of frustration, impatience, anxiousness, discontent, irritability, these really are gold mines. This is why I say awakening occurs, or can be found in the last place you would ever look. These exact moments. So how would we do this? How would we approach this? Well, the simple answer is to orient to whatever thought or belief seems to be the uncomfortable one in the moment. You may not be fully looking at that thought. You may be sort of identified with the thought or a thought stream that's carrying you down the road into other thoughts and other sort of conceptualizations. But back up and see, what was it that really caused you to start feeling uncomfortable? What was the thought or belief? So for example, you might be standing in line and the thought or belief is, oh, this is so frustrating. I don't want to be here. I want to be at home. I want to be at home doing whatever I think I need to be doing at home, or what I plan on doing when I get there. Maybe it's eating. Maybe it's having a beer. Maybe it's relaxing. Maybe it's getting some work done. But what we'll do in our mind is we'll start imagining that could actually be happening right now, and then get upset that it's not. So the thought is, I want to be home right now and I'm not. Like, this life right now is not giving me what I want or what I think I need. And when you see that, you see how uncomfortable that actually is. And this is good. This is all good. There's no reason to go down the thought road and sort of beat yourself up over all of this. Rather, just stop and realize that's what's happening. Realize that there's a thought that says, I don't want this to be happening. I want to be somewhere else. I don't want, life to be giving me all this frustration. I don't want the frustration to be here, right? All of it. Just consider the possibility that it's the perfect set of circumstances right now. It may not be clear why that is, but just consider it. Consider it's possible that all of this is a sort of gift from the universe, right? Here you are inhabiting this body, just like you were 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago when you weren't feeling frustrated. Suddenly, conditions may have changed a little bit, but mostly the internal conditions changed. Some thoughts came through, some beliefs, some imaginings. And then all of a sudden there's this intense trigger feeling or this frustration. So we can unpack this. First of all, we can just ask ourselves, well, when I consider all of this that's hinging on the belief that says this shouldn't be happening, or I want this other thing to be happening that I'm imagining. I wish it was happening right now, right? As if we can force the imagined future onto the clearly only existing present, which is absurd. But we kind of imagine we can do that. And then feeling and going, wow, that's sort of a frustrating feeling, but it's also a kind of disassociated feeling. It's this weird feeling of trying not to be here, but I can only be here, right? It's like fighting reality, fighting very obvious reality, very clear, present, undeniable reality, and we're trying to fight it, right? And just seeing that, feeling that, and recognizing, oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure I'm putting on reality. It's a lot of tension I'm putting on myself, a lot of struggle. And even the belief that I'm doing that, really, I don't know if there is someone doing that. It's just a thought and a feeling, right? A sensation. So we can consider all of that. And then we can remind ourselves, okay, set all that aside for a minute, the thoughts, the interpretations, the any label for the sensations that are here, right? Just set them aside for a moment. Just feel the sensations. Your feet on the floor, your hands, your chest, your face, your back, your head, your breath. Take in the ambient sound and ask yourself, does any of this sensory field, any of this cloud of sensation that is very obviously here already, doesn't have to be conjured by the mind or imagined, does it actually have a problem with anything right now? Is it resisting anything? Can it resist anything? Can anything even be resisted in this, as this? And you'll taste it. You'll realize like, oh my gosh, that's a completely different experience than the one that was here a minute ago when I was considering all of that to be true, that I really am upset. I really don't want this to be here. I really do want to be somewhere else, right? When we believe all of that, we kind of feel like we have to act it out, even if it's internally. We feel like we have to inhabit that view, right? That's so uncomfortable. And then we come back to the sensations and just go, oh, feet on the floor. Same sensation as when the feet are on the floor at home. Same sensation as when the feet are on the floor at work. Same sensation as when the feet are on the ground at a beach. The difference is our interpretation. That I like this, I don't like that. Set aside the interpretation. Set aside the picking and choosing and see. We don't actually have to uphold that story. We don't have to uphold that collection of beliefs about how I need to act. And when we really start questioning it this way, we often find out that they weren't even my beliefs. You might even start seeing like, oh, I remember when I started adopting this frustration from my father or from a boss or family members or whatever, right? We can see how we just learned to stack these behaviors and believe that we have to. Maybe at a very young age even, we started to learn that we have to have these kinds of reactions to our own emotions, to sensations, essentially, bodily sensations. And then we realize, well, wait a minute, I can feel all of this, and without an interpretation, it's just energy. It's just pure sensation. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean I'm frustrated. It doesn't mean I'm not frustrated. It doesn't mean I'm experiencing ecstasy. It doesn't mean I'm experiencing anger. It has no meaning. It's just sensation, pure sensation, right? You can do this anytime. So what is awakening? Awakening is when you get tired of all the rest and you only want to do this because you realize all the rest is just one or another version of running away from yourself, running away from the truth you know in your heart, in your intuition. When you realize that, all of the seeking, all the chasing, all the imagining, all of it, trying to be someone, pretend you're this, pretend you're that, faking it. When you realize all of that is just completely unsatisfying, then this that I'm talking about becomes super interesting. Learning that you can set aside any view in any moment, even if that view feels like you, feels like what's really happening in your real life, you can set it aside because it's a view. Any interpretation, you can set it aside. The tendency to pick and choose, you can set it aside. The tendency to label experiences, emotions as good or bad, desirable or undesirable, you can set it aside and realize it really is fabricated. It really is fabricated. The whole thing's fabricated. That becomes really interesting when you couple it with that recognition that all this stuff hasn't worked, all this struggle hasn't worked, all this management hasn't worked, hasn't delivered the goods, hasn't led to peace. It's just led to more struggle. Then you're in a good place. When you realize that, and you get interested in what I'm talking about and realize the answer is right here for you in direct experience, in immediate experience, in questioning thoughts, beliefs, narratives, views, even in the most mundane, frustrating, lame, unenjoyable moments, supposedly, all that's supposed. And then you'll realize, wow, all of those filters, oh, this is lame, this is stupid, dumb, this person did that, and this, that, and that person's slow in the line up there, and blah, 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 judgment, judgment, judgment. You realize all of that isn't even you. It's just a habit, simple habit. Set it aside. See what happens. See what happens if you set it aside for 1 minute, 1 second. See what you feel when you free yourself from having to inhabit this personality, persona, view that you never even chose to adopt in the first place. It's not you, and you don't even want it to be you. So set it aside and see what happens.